The illusion of the hustle is a term that captures the pervasive notion in contemporary society that constant productivity and relentless striving for success are not just desirable but necessary. This narrative dominates modern discourse, especially in entrepreneurial circles, where the idea of hustling has become synonymous with ambition and drive. But beneath this shiny veneer lies a darker reality, one illuminated by philosopher Byung-Chul Han's analysis of burnout and its consequences on mental health. Byung-Chul Han is a prominent South Korean philosopher known for his insightful critiques of modern society's obsession with productivity and self-improvement. In his seminal work, The Burnout Society, he offers an incisive look into the paradoxical state where relentless striving towards success often leads to profound exhaustion and disillusionment. His analysis resonates deeply in a world saturated with motivational content and constant pressure to perform. At the heart of Han's critique is the concept that our current social structures are built on a foundation of overwork, stress, and competition. The relentless pursuit of more, better, faster, and bigger has led individuals to become increasingly disconnected from their intrinsic motivations and desires. This disconnection manifests as a sense of emptiness and fatigue, even when one's external achievements appear impressive. Han argues that in the midst of this hyper-productive environment, people often suffer from existential exhaustion rather than physical or emotional burnout alone. Existential exhaustion is characterized by a profound sense of meaninglessness derived from a disconnection between one's aspirations and their lived reality. This disconnect creates an illusion of progress while simultaneously eroding personal fulfillment and well-being. The hustle culture propagates the myth that perpetual striving will eventually lead to success, happiness, and satisfaction. However, this narrative fails to acknowledge the inherent limitations and psychological toll of such relentless effort. Individuals are encouraged to push themselves beyond their limits without adequate support for mental health or personal development outside of productivity metrics. Byung-Chul Han's insights into burnout society reveal how modern capitalism exploits individuals' desires for autonomy and self-fulfillment through constant pressure to be productive and competitive. The pursuit of happiness becomes a perpetual chase, as any achievement merely sets the stage for new goals and benchmarks. This cycle perpetuates a state of ongoing stress and anxiety, leading many to question whether their relentless efforts are worth it. One key aspect Han discusses is the transition from traditional work ethic values like diligence and hard work towards a modern emphasis on constant availability and connectivity. The digital age has blurred the lines between personal time and professional responsibilities, making relaxation and disengagement feel impossible or indulgent. This constant state of readiness can be psychologically draining as it denies individuals the space necessary for mental recovery and personal growth. Furthermore, Han explores how social media amplifies feelings of inadequacy by presenting curated highlight reels of others' successes rather than a holistic view of life's challenges and struggles. The pressure to maintain an image of continuous success online often exacerbates the already overwhelming demands of real-life expectations. This creates a vicious cycle where individuals feel compelled to constantly prove their worth through visible achievements, contributing further to burnout. In addition to these societal pressures, Han highlights how modern notions of self-improvement and personal development can be counterproductive when not aligned with genuine self-awareness and intrinsic motivation. Programs and methods promising rapid transformation or immediate success often neglect the complexity of human psychology and the gradual nature of true change. Instead of fostering sustainable growth, they contribute to a culture where quick fixes are prioritized over deep understanding and resilience. Han's critique extends beyond just identifying symptoms of burnout society. He also offers prescriptive suggestions for navigating this landscape. One central theme is the importance of redefining success away from external metrics like wealth or status towards inner fulfillment and meaningful connections with others, encouraging a shift back to practices that support mental health, such as mindfulness, meditation, and quality relationships, can help counteract the damaging effects of incessant striving. Another significant recommendation is fostering environments that prioritize well-being over performance. Workplaces that emphasize work-life balance, employee welfare programs, and encouragement for personal growth outside the scope of productivity can significantly reduce burnout rates. Such approaches acknowledge the value of downtime and rest as essential components for sustained high performance rather than seeing them as obstacles. Ultimately, Byung-Chul Han's analysis of the illusion of the hustles serves as a critical reminder that true fulfillment cannot be achieved through relentless striving alone. It requires a reevaluation of our societal norms around productivity, success, and happiness. Embracing practices that nurture mental health and personal meaning is essential for navigating the complexities of modern life without succumbing to burnout. This exploration into Byung-Chul Han's work reveals how deeply entrenched cultural narratives can impact individual well-being on a profound level. As we continue to navigate an increasingly complex world, his insights offer valuable perspectives for transforming societal structures and personal mindsets towards healthier, more fulfilling approaches to success and happiness. The early morning light creeps through the blinds, slowly awakening the world from its slumber. But for many of us, this moment marks not just the beginning of another day, but the continuation of a relentless cycle that leaves us feeling perpetually exhausted and disengaged. This is the reality captured by philosopher Byung-Chul Han in his exploration of modern society's impact on individual well-being. His work delves into the intricate ways in which our cultural narratives have shaped a collective mindset that prioritizes efficiency, productivity, and constant connectivity above all else, ultimately leading to widespread burnout. Byung-Chul Han's analysis begins with the idea that contemporary societies are characterized by an overwhelming emphasis on success, achievement, and relentless progress. In this environment, individuals find themselves constantly striving to meet societal expectations without pausing to consider their personal well-being or meaningful engagement with life. This relentless pursuit of external validation can result in a profound sense of exhaustion and emptiness. Han introduces the concept of burnout as an emblematic symptom of our time. Burnout is more than just fatigue. It represents a state where individuals feel disconnected from their work, experience a loss of personal meaning, and are unable to find fulfillment or joy in their daily activities. The pervasive nature of burnout reflects not merely individual shortcomings, but a systemic issue within society itself. One of the central themes in Han's analysis is the shift from punishment-based societies towards reward-driven cultures. In earlier times, societal norms often revolved around avoiding negative consequences and adhering to strict rules and regulations. Today's world, however, operates on a different principle. Individuals are driven not by fear of failure, but by the desire for recognition, status, and rewards. This paradigm shift has profound implications for personal well-being and social cohesion. The reward-driven culture encourages constant striving towards goals without considering the intrinsic value or satisfaction derived from the process itself. Success is measured primarily in terms of achievements that are recognized externally rather than internal feelings of accomplishment and fulfillment. As a result, individuals may find themselves endlessly chasing after validation without ever truly feeling satisfied or content with their lives. Another critical aspect of Han's analysis concerns the nature of information in today's society. The digital age has brought about an explosion of data and communication channels, leaving many people struggling to keep up with the constant influx of information. This hyperconnectivity can be both a blessing and a curse, offering unprecedented opportunities for learning and collaboration while simultaneously overwhelming individuals with demands on their time and attention. The relentless flow of information exacerbates feelings of burnout by creating an environment where one is expected to stay informed and active at all times. The pressure to respond immediately to emails, messages, and notifications can be exhausting, leaving little room for downtime or reflection. This constant state of alertness and responsiveness leads to a gradual erosion of personal boundaries and the ability to disconnect from work and other responsibilities. Furthermore, Han explores the concept of happiness in contemporary society and how it has become increasingly commodified. The pursuit of happiness is often seen as synonymous with acquiring material possessions or achieving certain societal milestones. This narrow definition of happiness neglects the importance of emotional well-being, personal relationships, and meaningful experiences. The commodification of happiness contributes to a culture where individuals are encouraged to equate their self-worth with external achievements rather than internal qualities such as empathy, kindness, and compassion. This shift can lead to a superficial understanding of what it means to be happy and fulfilled, ultimately leaving many feeling unfulfilled despite outward signs of success. To truly address the issue of burnout in today's society, Han argues for a reevaluation of our cultural narratives and values. He advocates for a return to practices that prioritize personal well-being over relentless productivity. This includes embracing activities such as meditation, mindfulness, and other forms of self-care that allow individuals to reconnect with their inner selves and find meaning beyond external achievements. In conclusion, Byung-Chul Han's work provides profound insights into the systemic causes of burnout in modern society. His analysis reveals how deeply entrenched cultural narratives can impact individual well-being on a profound level. As we continue to navigate an increasingly complex world, his insights offer valuable perspectives for transforming societal structures and personal mindsets towards healthier, more fulfilling approaches to success and happiness. The cold grip of early morning light has long been synonymous with the grindstone of daily life. For many, it heralds not just another day, but another sprint in an endless race towards success and fulfillment, as defined by society's often unspoken rules. In this narrative, we delve deep into the work of Byung-Chul Han, a philosopher whose insights on burnout in modern society are both enlightening and sobering. Byung-Chul Han is a South Korean philosopher who has gained international recognition for his incisive critiques of contemporary culture and social structures. His writings often focus on how the relentless pursuit of success can lead to profound existential fatigue and emotional exhaustion, particularly in societies where achievement is paramount. His book, The Burnout Society, stands as one of his seminal works, offering a critical analysis of why we are always tired. Han begins by challenging our understanding of modernity itself, arguing that it's not just the pace but the very nature of society that contributes to burnout. In contrast to previous thinkers who saw progress and efficiency as inherently positive forces driving human advancement, Han posits that these same dynamics have paradoxically led to a widespread feeling of depletion and emptiness. Central to his argument is the concept of information overload. In today's digital age, we are bombarded with data from every angle: social media, news feeds, emails, notifications. This constant influx of information demands our attention 24/7, leaving little room for rest or contemplation. Han argues that this perpetual state of activation is exhausting and counterproductive, stripping individuals of their autonomy and capacity to think critically. Another key element in Han's framework is the shift from force to flows. Prior generations might have confronted life head-on with forceful effort, facing challenges directly and overcoming them through perseverance. Today's culture emphasizes a more fluid approach, where success is often measured by constant activity rather than substantial achievement. This change has profound implications for how we perceive and experience work. Work in modern society is no longer seen as an end in itself, but rather as part of a continuous stream of activities aimed at maximizing efficiency and productivity. Tasks are broken down into smaller, more manageable units, each to be completed with precision and speed. This atomization can lead to a sense of disconnection from the larger purpose or meaning behind one's work. Furthermore, Han explores how modern culture valorizes positivity and happiness as moral imperatives. The idea that we should always feel good about our lives and experiences places an immense burden on individuals who inevitably fall short of this ideal. Feelings of sadness, frustration, or anxiety are often seen not just as personal failures, but also societal ones, reinforcing a vicious cycle where people strive ever harder to maintain a facade of contentment. This relentless pursuit of positivity can be particularly damaging when it comes to addressing mental health issues. Individuals may feel compelled to suppress any negative emotions in favor of maintaining a public image of success and well-being. This suppression not only exacerbates underlying problems but also discourages open dialogue about mental health, further isolating those who struggle. Han's critique extends beyond just the workplace into all aspects of modern life where efficiency is prized above all else. He observes how speed and convenience have become measures of quality in everything from food delivery services to interpersonal relationships. Fast food chains serve as a stark example. Meals are designed for quick consumption, with little regard for taste or nutrition. In personal relationships, too, there's an increasing emphasis on efficiency. Communication is streamlined through text messages and social media posts rather than deeper conversations that foster genuine connection. This superficial engagement can leave individuals feeling isolated despite being constantly connected online. The philosopher also delves into the impact of this culture on creativity. When every moment is seen as a potential opportunity for productivity, there's little room left for the meandering thought processes and daydreaming that often spark innovative ideas. Creativity thrives in spaces where individuals can explore their thoughts without immediate demands for output. Han argues that to combat burnout, we need not only individual changes but also societal transformations. Shifting away from a culture obsessed with constant activity towards one that values meaningful work and personal fulfillment could be a starting point. Encouraging practices such as mindfulness and slowing down can help individuals regain control over their lives. On an organizational level, companies are beginning to experiment with policies that prioritize well-being over productivity metrics. Flexible working hours, remote work options, and mental health support programs aim to address the root causes of burnout rather than treating symptoms after they appear. Education systems, too, face a critical need for reform. The pressure on students to excel academically at all costs often leaves little room for personal exploration or development. Emphasizing holistic growth over purely academic achievements could foster healthier attitudes toward success and happiness in the long run. Ultimately, Han's work challenges us to reconsider our values and priorities in a society that increasingly rewards effort over substance. While it may seem daunting to challenge such deeply ingrained cultural narratives, his insights offer hope for creating more balanced approaches to living and working. By acknowledging the systemic causes of burnout and working towards meaningful change both personally and collectively, we can move closer to achieving genuine well-being in an ever-accelerating world. The cold grip of early morning light need not signal the start of another weary day, but could instead herald a dawn of new possibilities for living fully and freely. The cold grip of early morning light need not signal the start of another weary day, but could instead herald a dawn of new possibilities for living fully and freely. This sentiment is at the heart of Byung-Chul Han's provocative critique of modernity and its relentless pursuit of efficiency, which he argues leaves individuals exhausted and devoid of authentic human connection. As we delve into his ideas on painful efficiency on the commute, it becomes clear that our daily routines are not just a series of tasks, but rather a reflection of broader cultural and societal pressures that contribute to chronic fatigue and burnout. The morning commute, a routine for millions around the world, often serves as a microcosm of the systemic issues Han addresses. It is during these quiet moments in crowded trains or on busy roads that the strain of constant productivity becomes palpable. The very act of commuting is emblematic of the modern condition, moving from one duty to another with minimal pause for reflection or genuine interaction. Han argues that this relentless pace is a direct consequence of what he calls positive freedom. In contrast to traditional notions of freedom as liberation from external constraints, positive freedom implies an unending expansion and fulfillment of oneself through work and achievement. This philosophy places immense pressure on individuals to constantly produce and innovate without respite. The commute itself embodies this paradox. While one is technically engaged in the pursuit of something worthwhile, the journey towards a place where one can continue contributing to society, there is little room for personal growth or meaningful engagement with others. The experience is often solitary, filled with distractions like smartphones and headphones that further isolate individuals from their environment. Moreover, the efficiency-driven nature of modern commuting emphasizes speed and punctuality over quality and connectivity. As cities expand and urban sprawl increases, the time spent in transit only grows, yet the expectation remains to maintain peak performance throughout these journeys. This demand for constant productivity without adequate recovery leads to a state of perpetual stress and exhaustion. Byung-Chul Han's critique extends beyond the physical act of commuting to encompass the broader cultural narratives that perpetuate such practices. He points out that success is often measured by one's ability to endure hardship and maintain high output, regardless of personal well-being. This mindset not only affects how people approach their daily commutes, but also shapes societal expectations for work-life balance. Han identifies several historical factors contributing to this state of affairs. The Enlightenment period laid the groundwork for an emphasis on rationality and reason over emotional or spiritual fulfillment. Subsequently, industrial revolutions further entrenched the idea that progress is synonymous with technological advancement and increased efficiency. These epochs set the stage for a culture where human value is often quantified by output rather than qualitative measures such as joy, contentment, or personal growth. In this context, the morning commute takes on new significance. It becomes not just an isolated aspect of daily life, but part of a larger system that prioritizes productivity over all else. As people move from home to work and back again each day, they navigate a terrain marked by these cultural norms, where even restorative activities like sleep or leisure are framed through the lens of efficiency. However, Han's critique is not merely an indictment, it also offers avenues for resistance and transformation. By acknowledging the systemic causes behind burnout and fatigue, individuals can begin to question the narratives that govern their lives. This self-reflection leads to a reevaluation of personal values and priorities, allowing for more balanced approaches to living. One such approach involves cultivating moments of pause within daily routines. Rather than seeing the commute as an inconvenience or merely functional time slot, it could be reframed as an opportunity for reflection or mindfulness practices. Simple acts like observing one's surroundings, engaging in meaningful conversations with fellow commuters, or even setting aside technology to connect more deeply with oneself can inject a sense of purpose and fulfillment into what might otherwise feel like empty hours. Han also advocates for collective action towards systemic change. Recognizing that individual efforts alone may not be sufficient to address the root causes of burnout, he encourages communities to push back against cultural narratives that prioritize productivity over well-being. This could involve advocating for policies that support work-life balance, fostering environments where creativity and collaboration are valued equally with efficiency, or promoting education systems that emphasize holistic development rather than mere academic achievement. The journey from home to workplace is thus reframed as a critical space for resistance and reimagining the modern condition. By transforming our attitudes towards daily routines like commuting, we move closer to achieving genuine well-being in an ever-accelerating world. The dawn of new possibilities does not come with guarantees, but through conscious effort to redefine what it means to live fully and freely. Ultimately, Han's work challenges us to look beyond the surface-level discomforts of modern life and confront deeper questions about our societal values and individual worth. In embracing these insights, we can begin to dismantle the chains of painful efficiencies that bind us and create pathways towards a more humane and fulfilling existence. Amidst the hustle and bustle of contemporary society, a quiet but relentless force drains us from within. It's an invisible weight that accumulates over time, making everyday life feel like an endless struggle against unseen forces. This phenomenon is burnout, a term coined to describe the psychological state resulting from chronic stress in our work lives. But why do we find ourselves constantly weary despite doing everything right according to societal norms and expectations? To unravel this mystery, let's delve into the insights of philosopher Byung-Chul Han, whose works offer profound critiques of modernity's relentless pursuit of productivity and efficiency. Byung-Chul Han, a South Korean-born German philosopher renowned for his incisive analysis of contemporary culture, offers us a lens through which to view our constant fatigue. His seminal work, The Burnout Society, argues that the very structures we've built in search of comfort and ease have paradoxically led us into deeper states of exhaustion and disillusionment. In a world where every aspect of life is measured by its efficiency, be it economic output or personal well-being, we lose sight of what truly sustains us. At the heart of Han's argument lies the concept of painful efficiency. This term encapsulates the notion that our relentless pursuit of streamlined, optimized performance can paradoxically lead to a state where everything feels like work. Gone are the days when labor was physically demanding but mentally restorative. Today's work is often cerebral and abstract, yet it doesn't afford us the same level of release or satisfaction. One key factor contributing to this exhaustion is the blurring of boundaries between work and personal life. In an era where technology enables constant connectivity, the lines separating professional obligations from private moments have become increasingly porous. The expectation that we should be available 24/7 has seeped into every aspect of our lives, leaving little room for genuine rest or rejuvenation. Moreover, Han points out a shift in how society views leisure and downtime. Traditionally seen as periods of recovery and renewal, today's concept of free time often mirrors the pressures of work life, scheduling activities to maximize efficiency even during supposed breaks from routine. This means that instead of finding respite in leisure, we are perpetually chasing another form of productivity. Another critical aspect Han addresses is the societal emphasis on self-optimization and personal branding. In a world where everyone is expected to present an image of constant success and achievement, individuals often feel compelled to maintain this facade, even when it leads to inner turmoil. This perpetual performance can exhaust, not just our physical energy but also our mental reserves, as we navigate the complexities of maintaining public appearances while grappling with personal struggles. The philosophical underpinning of Han's critique draws heavily on critiques of modernity and its inherent contradictions. He argues that the Enlightenment ideals, which promised liberation through reason and efficiency, have instead produced a society obsessed with measurable outcomes and superficial success at the expense of genuine human connection and emotional well-being. The very tools designed to liberate us from drudgery like digital technology and automation have paradoxically tied us down in new, invisible ways. Han's work also emphasizes the importance of recognizing the value of imperfection and slowness. In a culture that glorifies flawless efficiency and instantaneous results, embracing moments of uncertainty and hesitation can be therapeutic. By valuing pauses and detours as part of life's natural rhythm, we open ourselves to experiences that cannot be optimized or quantified, experiences which, paradoxically, may bring us closer to our true selves. Furthermore, Han encourages a reevaluation of how we define success and fulfillment. He challenges the notion that productivity alone can measure our worth. Instead, he advocates for a return to understanding life's intrinsic value, independent of measurable achievements or societal expectations. This shift in perspective requires courage and resilience, as it involves resisting the pull towards facile solutions and embracing the complexities and ambiguities of human existence. The implications of Han's critique are profound. If we accept that our current modes of living might be inherently draining us, then addressing this issue requires more than just individual self-care practices. It necessitates a collective rethinking of societal values and structures. Byung-Chul Han invites us to consider how we can reshape our environments and interactions to foster genuine well-being rather than perpetuating cycles of burnout. Ultimately, the path forward suggested by Han involves dismantling the chains of painful efficiency that bind us. This might mean rejecting the constant pressure to be productive in favor of embracing moments of rest and reflection. It could involve challenging societal norms that prioritize measurable success over personal fulfillment. By redefining what it means to live fully and freely, we can begin to alleviate the invisible burdens that weigh us down. In embracing these insights, we confront deeper questions about our societal values and individual worth. The journey towards a more humane existence requires not just an internal shift, but also a collective effort to reshape the fabric of society itself. Byung-Chul Han's work challenges us to see beyond surface-level discomforts in modern life and invites us to imagine a world where efficiency does not come at the cost of our vitality. Thus, as we navigate the complexities of today's world, let us remember that the dawn of new possibilities does not come with guarantees, but through conscious effort to redefine what it means to live fully and freely. This redefinition is both an individual quest for authenticity and a collective endeavor towards a more humane society. In the modern world, we often find ourselves trapped within invisible cages, not of our own making, but constructed by the relentless pursuit of efficiency and productivity. Byung-Chul Han's exploration of these constraints offers a profound perspective on why so many people today feel perpetually exhausted, both mentally and physically. To understand this phenomenon more deeply, let us delve into the concept of trading external cages for internal ones, a process that begins with recognizing how society has framed our sense of self and continues as we navigate the personal costs of living in an era obsessed with optimization and efficiency. At its core, Byung-Chul Han's work challenges us to reflect on the ways in which modern life conditions us into a state where freedom is often perceived through the lens of external pressures rather than internal liberation. The notion of trading cages implies a subtle shift from one type of confinement to another, a process that can be both gradual and insidious. External cages are imposed upon us by societal norms and expectations, workplace demands, social obligations, technological constraints that seem to dictate our behavior and limit our autonomy. However, the internal cage is more nuanced. It's a construct built within ourselves over time, often as a response to external pressures. This internal cage manifests in the form of self-imposed limits, fears, and anxieties that hold us back from truly living our lives freely. It reflects a society where individuals are conditioned to see their value through achievements rather than experiences, leading to an exhausting cycle of striving for more without finding fulfillment. One key aspect of this internalization is the concept of self-management, which has become increasingly prevalent in modern discourse on productivity and personal development. Self-management techniques often encourage us to view our minds as machines that need constant maintenance and optimization. While these methods can initially provide a sense of control, they also pave the way for an internalized form of burnout where we feel perpetually inadequate unless we are constantly improving ourselves. The paradox here lies in the fact that while external cages often stem from overt constraints like mandatory work hours or societal roles, internal cages emerge as a result of personal choices influenced by these external factors. For instance, choosing to stay late at work out of fear of falling behind can lead to an internal sense of obligation and guilt, which then perpetuates a cycle of overworking. Another critical element in this narrative is the role of technology in creating both external and internal cages. Technology promises liberation by connecting us with the world beyond our immediate surroundings. However, it also creates new forms of confinement through constant connectivity and accessibility expectations. The idea that one must be available 24/7 for work or social interactions can lead to a state where disconnection feels like isolation, an internal cage fueled by external norms. Byung-Chul Han points out that this phenomenon is not just about the physical act of working harder, but also involves an emotional and mental strain. The burnout society, as he describes it, is one where individuals are pushed beyond their limits without adequate recovery periods, leading to a state of chronic fatigue. This burnout manifests in various ways: physically through exhaustion, mentally through anxiety and depression, and emotionally through a sense of disconnection from oneself. To counteract the internalization process and break free from these cages, Han suggests that we need to redefine our understanding of freedom and happiness. Rather than pursuing efficiency at all costs, he advocates for a return to values such as rest, leisure, and personal time. This shift requires not just changes in individual behavior, but also a rethinking of societal norms around work-life balance. Breaking free from the internal cage is often easier said than done, given that it has been reinforced by years of conditioning. It involves a process of unlearning, challenging the beliefs and assumptions about success and happiness that have been ingrained in us since childhood. This can be as simple as taking small steps like disconnecting from technology during leisure time or engaging in activities that bring joy without external validation. Moreover, it's essential to recognize that trading internal cages for freedom is not a one-time event, but an ongoing journey of self-discovery and growth. It requires patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to embrace failure as part of the process, rather than seeing it as a reflection of personal inadequacy. In conclusion, the transition from external to internal constraints highlights the complex nature of modern life's challenges. While we often seek liberation through superficial changes like quitting a job or relocating, true freedom lies in transforming our inner landscape, redefining what success means for us and cultivating a sense of contentment that doesn't rely on constant achievement. This journey towards authentic living is both an individual quest for self-awareness and a collective push towards creating a more humane society where everyone can thrive without burning out. Thus, as we navigate the complexities of today's world, let us remember that the dawn of new possibilities does not come with guarantees, but through conscious effort to redefine what it means to live fully and freely. This redefinition is both an individual quest for authenticity and a collective endeavor towards a more humane society. In the heart of our bustling modern society, a peculiar phenomenon has become increasingly prevalent. People are finding themselves perpetually fatigued, mentally drained, and spiritually exhausted. This sense of burnout is not just an individual crisis, but a reflection of societal trends that have shifted over time. To understand this phenomenon better, we must look back at the evolution of our society from a disciplinary society to what Byung-Chul Han calls an achievement society. Through this lens, we can unravel why you might feel perpetually tired and how we can redefine our understanding of success and well-being. The concept of a disciplinary society stems from Michel Foucault's work. He described it as a system where control is exerted through surveillance, rules, and regulations, often enforced by institutions like schools, factories, prisons, and the military. In such an environment, individuals are expected to conform to strict norms, adhering closely to societal expectations. The disciplinary society thrives on obedience and compliance. However, as we moved into the late 20th century, a transformation began to take place. This shift was marked by the rise of what Byung-Chul Han describes in his book, The Burnout Society. He posits that our current society has evolved from one governed by disciplinary rules to an achievement-oriented culture. In this new paradigm, individuals are not just passive subjects of control, but active participants, driven by a relentless pursuit of personal and professional success. In the achievement society, traditional boundaries between work and life blur. Success is no longer measured solely by how well one conforms to societal norms, but by individual accomplishments, achievements, and the constant desire for more. This shift has profound implications on our psychological and emotional states, leading many towards a state of chronic burnout. Let's delve into why this transition from disciplinary society to achievement society results in such high levels of fatigue among individuals. One key factor is the pressure imposed by the societal value shift from being to having. In Foucault's framework, one was valued for their adherence to rules and roles within structured systems. Conversely, in Han's conception of an achievement society, people are measured by what they have achieved rather than who they are or how they live. This shift leads individuals into a never-ending race for achievements, creating a vicious cycle where success is equated with constant striving without rest or satisfaction. The relentless pursuit of personal and professional milestones becomes the new norm. This transition creates immense psychological strain as people are constantly evaluating their progress against societal standards and feeling inadequate when they fall short. Another critical factor contributing to burnout in an achievement-oriented society is the blurring of work-life boundaries. In a disciplinary society, life was compartmentalized into distinct domains, work, family, leisure, that had clear demarcations. This structure provided individuals with structured breaks and opportunities for relaxation. However, in today's interconnected world, these lines are increasingly blurred. Technology has enabled us to be constantly connected, accessible, and responsive irrespective of the time or place. The boundaries between work and personal life have dissolved, making it difficult for people to disengage from professional pressures even during their leisure hours. This constant state of being on can lead to significant stress and emotional exhaustion. Moreover, in an achievement society, failure is not just seen as a temporary setback, but often interpreted as personal inadequacy or a reflection on one's character rather than external circumstances. This fear of failure creates a toxic environment where individuals feel compelled to overachieve continually, even at the cost of their mental and physical health. The constant need for self-improvement and achievement can lead people into a state of hyperproductivity characterized by an excessive focus on performance metrics and outcomes. This mindset often neglects personal well-being, contributing significantly to burnout. The relentless pursuit of success in an achievement society fosters environments where individuals are pressured to perform at optimal levels continuously. Byung-Chul Han argues that the modern emphasis on positivity and self-affirmation has also paradoxically contributed to feelings of inadequacy and exhaustion. In the effort to maintain a positive outlook, people often suppress negative emotions or experiences, leading to unresolved issues and stress. The societal pressure to constantly present oneself in an optimistic light can be mentally draining. Furthermore, the cultural shift towards individualism in an achievement society exacerbates these pressures. The emphasis on personal growth and success diminishes the collective support and communal bonds that once provided psychological buffers against burnout. People feel isolated in their pursuit of personal excellence, lacking a sense of community or shared purpose. The implications of living in an achievement society are far-reaching and affect not just individuals but also organizations and communities at large. Burnout becomes a pervasive issue with significant economic costs due to reduced productivity, increased healthcare expenses, and high turnover rates among employees. Addressing burnout requires a reevaluation of our societal values and norms. It necessitates the creation of environments that foster well-being alongside success. This involves promoting work-life balance, encouraging meaningful connections within communities, and fostering a culture where failure is viewed as an opportunity for growth rather than a personal deficit. In conclusion, navigating through the complexities of today's achievement society requires us to redefine what it means to live fully and freely. By embracing a more holistic approach to success that includes mental and emotional well-being, we can create a healthier, more humane society where everyone has the opportunity to thrive without burning out. As the sun begins to set on another Sunday afternoon, many of us find ourselves lingering in a state of paralysis. The weight of unfulfilled aspirations and relentless productivity burdens our minds like an invisible shackle, leading to a profound sense of guilt for choosing rest over work or achievement. This feeling is deeply rooted in the modern ethos espoused by philosopher Byung-Chul Han, who offers us critical insights into understanding why we are perpetually tired despite our constant efforts to succeed. In his seminal work, The Burnout Society, Han critiques the contemporary world's obsession with productivity and success. He argues that relentless self-improvement and achievement have transformed rest from a necessity of life to an indulgence, one that is increasingly seen as counterproductive or even immoral. This cultural shift has led many individuals to feel guilty whenever they take time for themselves, viewing any form of downtime as a failure to meet societal expectations. Han's observations resonate deeply with the pervasive sense of unease that haunts our leisure hours. Sunday afternoons in particular are marked by a tension between the desire for rest and the fear of falling behind. This paradox is exacerbated by the relentless pace set by social media, where images of constant success and activity bombard us from all sides. The pressure to present an unbroken stream of accomplishments leads many to feel that true relaxation or contemplation is somehow out of place. This tension could be traced back to broader shifts in how we perceive work and leisure. Historically, the distinction between these two domains was clear and protected by societal norms. Today's interconnected digital age has blurred this line to a point where it often seems non-existent. The boundaries that once separated personal time from professional duties have been dissolved, leading to an environment where even rest is under scrutiny. To understand why we feel guilty during our moments of downtime, it's crucial to examine the cultural narratives surrounding productivity and success. These narratives are heavily influenced by capitalist ideals that prioritize efficiency and constant output over holistic well-being. The message is clear. Your worth as a person is intrinsically linked to what you produce or achieve. This pressure creates an environment where leisure activities can be seen as a form of self-deception, leading to feelings of inadequacy whenever rest is chosen. This sense of guilt extends beyond the individual level and into the collective consciousness. Communities often reinforce these expectations through subtle cues and explicit norms. The idea that one must always be improving or contributing leads to social ostracization for those who do not conform. This creates a paradoxical situation where individuals are pressured to rest but feel guilty doing so, leading them to seek out more tasks instead of embracing true leisure. Han's concept of positive freedom offers a potential antidote to this dilemma. Positive freedom is the freedom to choose without external constraints or obligations, allowing us to engage in activities that truly fulfill us rather than those demanded by society or our own internalized pressures. Embracing positive freedom means recognizing that rest and leisure are not luxuries but necessities for mental and emotional health. It requires a shift from seeing downtime as an absence of work to viewing it as an opportunity for growth and rejuvenation. Implementing this understanding in everyday life can be challenging, especially given the pervasive nature of guilt associated with rest. One approach is to cultivate new social narratives around leisure and productivity that celebrate balance rather than constant activity. This involves redefining success beyond mere achievement, incorporating qualities such as empathy, creativity, and resilience into our definitions of what it means to thrive. Educational institutions play a crucial role in fostering these new narratives by teaching the importance of mental health and emotional well-being alongside academic or professional skills. By integrating lessons on stress management, mindfulness practices, and self-care techniques, educators can equip future generations with tools necessary for navigating the demands of modern life without succumbing to burnout. Additionally, workplaces need to evolve their approaches towards employee welfare, moving away from a culture that glorifies overwork as a virtue. Encouraging employees to take meaningful breaks and prioritizing mental health initiatives can significantly reduce instances of burnout while also improving overall productivity and job satisfaction. Cultivating supportive communities is another key aspect in addressing the pervasive guilt associated with rest. Communities should foster environments where individuals feel comfortable discussing their struggles without fear of judgment or social backlash. Peer support networks, counseling services, and other forms of community outreach can provide vital resources for those grappling with issues related to burnout. In conclusion, navigating through the complexities of today's achievement society requires us to redefine what it means to live fully and freely. By embracing a more holistic approach to success that includes mental and emotional well-being, we can create a healthier, more humane society where everyone has the opportunity to thrive without burning out. This shift towards positive freedom allows us to reclaim our Sunday afternoons from guilt and embrace them as opportunities for genuine rest and rejuvenation. The relentless pursuit of achievement in our modern society has given rise to a paradoxical condition where people are constantly striving but often find themselves exhausted and unfulfilled. The concept of positive freedom, proposed by philosopher Byung-Chul Han, offers a compelling lens through which we can understand this phenomenon, revealing how the demands for constant optimization and productivity have become more than just societal pressures. they've transformed into an existential burden that wears us down both mentally and physically. In his critique of contemporary society, Han introduces the idea that while freedom once meant liberation from external constraints, freedom to choose our paths and live without oppression, it has now evolved into a form of self-imposed pressure. Positive freedom today compels individuals not only to seek personal fulfillment, but also to relentlessly strive for perfection in all aspects of life, be it career advancement, social media presence, or even physical appearance. This transformation makes the concept of freedoms more about a constant state of striving and never fully arriving at a point of satisfaction. As we navigate through this achievement-oriented society, every day seems to come with its own set of demands that challenge us to push our limits further. Whether it's meeting tight deadlines at work, maintaining an active social media profile, or adhering to the latest trends in fitness and wellness, there is no respite from the pressure to excel. This constant state of striving can lead to a sense of burnout, where individuals feel exhausted not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally. The impact of this relentless pursuit on our well-being cannot be overstated. The cycle of productivity and achievement has become so intense that it often leaves no room for genuine rest and rejuvenation. Our Sunday afternoons, traditionally a time to unwind and reflect, are now filled with the guilt of not having productive activities planned. This mentality robs us of the opportunity to recharge properly, leading to chronic fatigue and diminished mental health. Byung-Chul Han's work delves deeply into how this societal expectation for constant optimization has led to a culture where individuals feel compelled to exhaust themselves in an effort to achieve more. He argues that this relentless striving is not merely about ambition, but also stems from fear of falling behind, fear of being seen as inadequate or unsuccessful. This pervasive anxiety fuels the cycle of continuous effort and achievement, perpetuating a state of perpetual burnout. The concept of positive freedom in its current form has created an environment where success is equated with constant activity and visible achievements. The pressure to be constantly active both physically and mentally has become so intense that even rest and leisure activities are now viewed through the lens of productivity. For example, weekend retreats or vacations are often seen as opportunities for personal development rather than genuine breaks from daily life. This mindset not only diminishes our capacity for authentic relaxation, but also blurs the boundaries between work and personal time. Moreover, the societal emphasis on constant optimization has led to a proliferation of tools and techniques aimed at enhancing productivity and efficiency. Apps designed to track every moment of our day, fitness gadgets that monitor our physical activity, and social media platforms that pressure us to showcase our achievements are all part of this ecosystem that keeps us in a state of perpetual striving. While these technologies may offer some benefits, they also contribute to the feeling of being constantly on a condition where rest becomes an elusive luxury rather than a necessity. The implications of this relentless pursuit for achievement extend beyond individual well-being to broader societal impacts as well. When individuals are perpetually exhausted and burnt out, their ability to engage meaningfully in community life diminishes. Social connections weaken as people struggle to find the energy for meaningful interactions outside their professional or personal goals. This disconnection not only affects interpersonal relationships, but also undermines the fabric of society itself. To address this issue, it is crucial to shift our focus towards a more holistic understanding of success and well-being. Rather than perpetuating the notion that constant optimization is key to happiness and fulfillment, we need to embrace a philosophy that values rest, reflection, and genuine human connections as essential components of living fully. By doing so, we can create a healthier society where individuals are not just productive but also content and fulfilled. Embracing positive freedom in its truest sense means reclaiming our right to take breaks from the relentless pursuit of achievement. It involves recognizing that rest is not an indulgence, but a fundamental necessity for maintaining mental and emotional health. By embracing this perspective, we can start to redefine what it means to live successfully in today's society. This shift allows us to enjoy our Sunday afternoons without guilt, finding true peace and rejuvenation in moments of genuine relaxation. In conclusion, the constant demands of optimization have created an environment where exhaustion is a common symptom of trying to achieve success on societal terms. Byung-Chul Han's insights offer a critical perspective on how we can begin to address this issue by embracing positive freedom that truly liberates us from self-imposed pressures and allows for genuine rest and fulfillment. The relentless pursuit of optimization and success in modern society has led to an environment where exhaustion is the norm. In his work, philosopher Byung-Chul Han offers profound insights into why this phenomenon exists and how we might begin to address it by embracing a form of freedom that liberates us from self-imposed pressures and allows for genuine rest and fulfillment. Byung-Chul Han's exploration begins with an analysis of our contemporary society, characterized by its emphasis on efficiency, productivity, and constant striving. He argues that the concept of success in this context is often defined by external metrics such as wealth, status, and accomplishments. These metrics create a pervasive sense of pressure to achieve more and do better than others. However, Han contends that this drive for external validation can lead to an internalized form of coercion. We become our own harshest critics, constantly pushing ourselves to meet societal expectations without regard for personal well-being or genuine happiness. This cycle of relentless striving ultimately leads to burnout and a sense of emptiness. To illustrate the concept further, Han draws upon his work on negative freedom versus positive freedom. Negative freedom refers to the absence of external constraints and restrictions. It is the traditional understanding of liberty in which individuals are free from coercion by others. Positive freedom, however, involves liberating oneself from self-imposed pressures and internalized expectations. In the context of modern society, Han argues that we often mistake negative freedom for positive freedom. We may be technically free from external constraints, but our minds remain burdened with a constant stream of internal directives and societal demands. This creates an illusion of control while simultaneously eroding genuine autonomy and personal fulfillment. The concept of burnout is central to Han's analysis. Burnout occurs when the relentless pursuit of success leads to a state of emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced personal accomplishment. It signifies not just physical tiredness, but also spiritual and mental depletion. For many individuals, this exhaustion stems from feeling perpetually behind in a competitive society where achieving external goals is seen as the ultimate measure of worth. Han highlights that true freedom lies in recognizing the distinction between positive and negative freedom and consciously choosing to break free from internalized pressures. This means embracing moments of genuine rest and relaxation without guilt, understanding that these are essential components of well-being rather than distractions from success. One significant aspect Han explores is the idea of joy being reclaimed for oneself rather than remaining an elusive ideal pursued through constant striving. For instance, finding joy in mundane activities like a leisurely Sunday afternoon can be transformative. It involves breaking free from societal expectations that dictate productivity and instead embracing moments of peace and rejuvenation. In practical terms, this shift towards positive freedom requires us to redefine our understanding of success. Rather than measuring it solely by external achievements, we need to recognize the value in personal fulfillment, contentment, and genuine happiness. This might mean prioritizing hobbies, relationships, and experiences that bring joy rather than pushing ourselves to meet societal benchmarks. Moreover, Han's insights suggest that true liberation comes from a willingness to let go of perfectionism and the constant pursuit of optimization. It involves embracing imperfection as part of human nature and understanding that rest and leisure are not luxuries but essential components of a healthy life. By doing so, we can begin to address the root causes of burnout and create a more balanced approach to living. Another critical aspect is the role of community in fostering positive freedom. Creating supportive environments where individuals feel encouraged to prioritize well-being over relentless striving can be instrumental in combating burnout. This might involve workplaces that promote work-life balance, communities that celebrate diverse forms of success, and social circles that value genuine connections over superficial achievements. In conclusion, the constant demands of optimization have created an environment where exhaustion is a common symptom of trying to achieve success on societal terms. Byung-Chul Han's insights offer a critical perspective on how we can begin to address this issue by embracing positive freedom that truly liberates us from self-imposed pressures and allows for genuine rest and fulfillment. By consciously choosing to break free from internalized expectations and embracing moments of true relaxation, we can start to reclaim joy in our daily lives. It is only through such a shift towards authentic well-being that we can hope to alleviate the pervasive exhaustion that plagues modern society. The relentless pace of modern society has led to an unprecedented level of burnout among individuals. We are constantly striving, pushing ourselves beyond our limits in the pursuit of success and achievement. Yet, despite all this effort, we often find ourselves exhausted, unfulfilled, and unable to rest properly. This is where philosopher Byung-Chul Han's ideas on freedom, positivity, and the nature of modern exhaustion come into play. Byung-Chul Han argues that our contemporary society suffers from a form of self-inflicted slavery. We are enslaved not by external forces, but by internal pressures and expectations we place upon ourselves. This cycle of constant striving leads to an inability to truly relax or find joy in life, as every moment is tainted with the anxiety of falling short of these unrealistic goals. To understand this phenomenon better, let's delve into Han's critique of modernity from a philosophical standpoint. In his work, The Burnout Society, he explores how traditional notions of freedom have been transformed into their opposite. Instead of liberating us, contemporary concepts of freedom often lead to a state of perpetual stress and exhaustion. Traditionally, negative freedom was associated with the absence of external constraints or oppressive forces. However, in today's world, we are more likely to encounter what Han refers to as positive freedom. This form of freedom is characterized by self-determination, autonomy, and personal responsibility. While this sounds liberating on paper, it often results in an overwhelming sense of obligation and pressure. In the modern context, positive freedom has taken on a new meaning. Rather than freeing us from external constraints, it compels us to impose those constraints upon ourselves. We are constantly striving towards self-improvement, setting unattainable goals for our personal growth, health, career success, and social status. This constant pressure leaves little room for rest or relaxation. One of the central themes in Han's work is the concept of positive freedom as a form of punishment. He argues that the modern world has transformed freedom into an endless taskmaster that demands continuous effort without respite. This relentless pursuit of positive freedom leads to exhaustion and burnout, undermining our ability to experience genuine joy or satisfaction. Another critical aspect Han addresses is the role of positivity in contemporary society. Positivity is often seen as a virtue to be cultivated at all costs. However, this obsession with maintaining a positive outlook can become oppressive. We are expected to remain cheerful and optimistic regardless of circumstances, which only adds to our stress levels when we inevitably face challenges or setbacks. Han's critique extends beyond individual psychology to encompass broader social dynamics. In the modern workplace, for example, there is an expectation that employees will be perpetually available and productive. The boundaries between work life and personal life have blurred to such an extent that rest becomes a luxury few can afford. This constant connectivity further exacerbates feelings of burnout as individuals struggle to disengage from their professional responsibilities. Furthermore, Han highlights how the emphasis on positivity in modern society serves to mask underlying issues and inequalities. By demanding perpetual optimism, we create an environment where grievances and frustrations go unaddressed. This perpetuates systemic problems rather than addressing them head-on. The need for constant positivity can also lead to a form of self-censorship as individuals refrain from expressing discontent or voicing criticism. To break free from this cycle of exhaustion, Han advocates for a return to the concept of negative freedom. Rather than striving for unlimited autonomy and responsibility, we should embrace constraints that allow us to rest and recharge. This does not mean rejecting personal growth, but rather acknowledging our limits and embracing moments of genuine relaxation. By consciously choosing to break free from internalized expectations and embracing moments of true relaxation, we can start to reclaim joy in our daily lives. It is only through such a shift towards authentic well-being that we can hope to alleviate the pervasive exhaustion that plagues modern society. This requires us to redefine what it means to be successful or fulfilled. Instead of equating success with constant striving and achievement, we must recognize the value of rest and leisure. By prioritizing our mental health and embracing moments of genuine relaxation, we open ourselves up to experiences of joy and fulfillment that are otherwise elusive in a society obsessed with positivity and productivity. In conclusion, Han's critique offers a profound perspective on the nature of exhaustion in modern society. It challenges us to reconsider traditional notions of freedom and positivity, and encourages us to embrace constraints that allow for genuine rest and rejuvenation. By doing so, we can hope to alleviate the burnout that is pervasive in contemporary life and rediscover joy in our daily existence. Byung-Chul Han, a contemporary philosopher deeply concerned with the modern condition, offers a unique perspective on why we are always tired in his works, especially the Burnout Society. His critique challenges us to rethink our understanding of freedom and positivity in an era where relentless productivity is seen as the ultimate measure of success. Han begins by examining the notion that fatigue in contemporary society arises not merely from overwork, but from a chronic state of burnout. He argues that this burnout stems from a hyper-individualistic environment where self-optimization has become an obsessive pursuit. In such a setting, people are expected to constantly enhance their capabilities and achieve more, leading to a relentless cycle of effort without genuine rest or recovery. The philosopher delves into the paradoxical nature of modern positivity. While positive thinking is often hailed as a virtue, Han contends that it can be an oppressive force when taken to extremes. He notes how society increasingly demands individuals to maintain an upbeat attitude at all times, masking any signs of struggle or discontent under a veneer of optimism. This constant pressure to appear positive, even in the face of overwhelming challenges, exacerbates feelings of burnout and exhaustion. Han further explores the concept of freedom within this context. Traditionally, freedom is associated with the absence of constraints and boundaries. However, he suggests that true freedom often requires embracing certain limitations. In a world where there are no limits set by external factors or societal norms, individuals find themselves in an endless race to outdo their own achievements, leading to exhaustion. The lack of boundaries leaves no room for genuine relaxation or the renewal of one's spirit. Furthermore, Han critiques the idea that self-optimization is inherently positive and beneficial. He argues that constant attempts at personal improvement can lead to a state of perpetual dissatisfaction. This is because people are forever chasing an unattainable ideal of perfection, which only serves to intensify feelings of inadequacy and burnout. In his analysis of the modern workplace, Han points out how the blurring lines between work and leisure time contribute significantly to burnout. The pervasive use of digital technology means that employees are often connected to their professional lives 24/7. This constant availability leads to a situation where individuals never truly disconnect from their roles, making it impossible for them to recharge or recover from daily stresses. Moreover, Han highlights the importance of rest and leisure in maintaining mental health and productivity over the long term. He advocates for the embrace of constraints that allow for genuine downtime without feeling guilty about not being productive. This could mean setting strict work hours, engaging in activities purely for pleasure rather than achievement, or dedicating time to hobbies unrelated to professional goals. The philosopher also discusses the role of social media and digital communication platforms in perpetuating a culture of constant productivity and positivity. These tools make it easy for individuals to present idealized versions of their lives while hiding any struggles they may be experiencing. This pressure to always appear successful or happy can be incredibly draining, leading to further feelings of inadequacy and burnout. Han's critique extends beyond the workplace to encompass broader societal attitudes towards rest and leisure. He argues that our obsession with efficiency and productivity has devalued activities that do not contribute directly to professional advancement or personal improvement. This includes mundane tasks such as cooking, cleaning, or spending time in nature. By neglecting these activities, which are essential for maintaining balance and well-being, we further exacerbate feelings of burnout. In his work, Han also addresses the impact of education systems that prioritize continuous learning and achievement over holistic development. This focus on constant improvement without adequate periods of reflection or rest can leave students feeling perpetually behind and overwhelmed. The relentless pursuit of academic success often comes at the cost of personal well-being and happiness. Han's insights challenge us to rethink our relationship with technology, work-life balance, and the very concept of success in modern society. He encourages a paradigm shift towards valuing constraints as necessary for true freedom and genuine rest. By embracing limitations that allow for periods of detachment from constant productivity, we can hope to alleviate burnout and rediscover joy in daily life. Ultimately, Han's critique of the modern condition invites us to consider how the relentless pursuit of positivity and self-optimization might be contributing to our collective exhaustion. His work prompts us to explore alternative ways of living that prioritize balance, rest, and meaningful experiences over continuous striving for perfection or success. The gym was unusually quiet today, an eerie calm that set off alarms in Sarah's mind. She had been here countless times before, but something felt different. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting a cold glow across the rows of exercise machines and free weights. It was early afternoon, yet she could count only 2 or 3 other patrons scattered around the facility. A stark contrast to the bustling energy of her usual morning workout sessions. Sarah had been pushing herself harder than ever before in an attempt to meet unrealistic standards of productivity and self-improvement that seemed to be the norm in her life. Her daily routine was a relentless cycle of waking up early, hitting the gym, going straight to work, and then returning home late at night to catch up on personal projects or online courses. She had convinced herself that this was the only way to stay ahead in an increasingly competitive world. As she walked towards the treadmill, her hands trembled slightly despite her best efforts to maintain composure. The machine beeped as she keyed in her usual workout intensity settings, but just as she started running, a wave of dizziness hit her. Her heart raced uncontrollably, and she could feel beads of sweat forming on her forehead, even though the air conditioning made it seem cool inside. Sarah tried to breathe deeply, counting down from 10 in an attempt to calm herself, but panic was setting in too quickly for rational thoughts to take hold. She couldn't understand why this was happening now. She had never experienced anything like this before during her workouts. But there were subtle signs that had been overlooked. Her constant fatigue, the lack of enjoyment in activities once loved, and a pervasive sense of disconnection from herself. As her vision blurred momentarily, Sarah knew she couldn't continue. She pressed the emergency stop button on the treadmill and stumbled off to one side where it was quieter. Her breathing remained shallow, but her mind raced as fast as her heart. What if this never ends? Will I always feel like this? She sat down next to a large window overlooking an empty parking lot, staring out blankly. The world outside seemed just as lifeless and devoid of hope compared to the vibrant memories she used to associate with places like this gym. In her mind's eye, there was once a time when exercising felt invigorating and refreshing, a way to reconnect with herself amidst the chaos of daily routines. But now, it had become another task on an endless list of responsibilities that never seemed complete. The joy in physical activity had been replaced by anxiety about performance metrics and how well she could push her body towards perfection. And yet, despite knowing these feelings were counterproductive to true health and happiness, Sarah found herself trapped in this cycle. In the midst of this panic attack at the gym, she realized with startling clarity that Byung-Chul Han's critique of modern society was not just a theoretical concept, but something deeply personal and immediate. Han argues against the incessant drive for positivity and self-optimization, which paradoxically leads to burnout and exhaustion. This relentless pursuit of success and fulfillment can rob individuals of genuine moments of rest, reflection, and meaningful connections. Sarah's panic attack was a breaking point that exposed her own exhaustion under the weight of constant striving without true periods of detachment or relaxation. It forced her to confront questions about what she truly valued in life beyond productivity goals and societal expectations. As she sat there recovering from the initial shock, Sarah began to recognize signs of burnout that had been quietly accumulating over time. She recalled late nights spent poring over books on self-improvement, thinking there must be some secret formula to unlock happiness and success. But these efforts only seemed to deepen her sense of inadequacy and perpetuate a cycle of relentless activity without purposeful rest or personal enjoyment. The gym had once been a sanctuary for physical health, but it too became another battlefield in the war against personal imperfection. Now, as Sarah gradually recovered from her panic attack, she started to piece together how this state of continuous striving could be contributing to her overall sense of fatigue and disconnection from life's simple pleasures. The gym had represented an escape from stress, but it also became another source of pressure in a never-ending quest for self-optimization. Recognizing the toll such relentless pursuit was taking on her mental and physical well-being, Sarah began to question the underlying assumptions driving her behavior. Was there value in constantly pushing herself without allowing time for rejuvenation? Could moments of detachment from productivity actually enhance overall satisfaction and effectiveness? As she sat there reflecting under the window's stark light, Sarah realized that recovery begins not by adding more tasks, but rather by removing unnecessary ones and prioritizing rest. She would need to redefine success beyond achievement metrics towards sustainable well-being. This turning point in the gym marked a significant moment of self-discovery for Sarah, as she began to explore ways to integrate balance and meaningful experiences into her life. It was no longer about striving relentlessly, but finding joy in simplicity and allowing herself periods of detachment from constant productivity pressures. In the days that followed, Sarah slowly started implementing small changes, taking breaks during work without guilt, engaging more fully with hobbies outside fitness goals, and seeking out quiet moments for contemplation. These actions began to shift her perspective on what constitutes a fulfilling life versus one driven solely by productivity demands. Han's critique challenged the very foundations of how modern society operates and encouraged individuals like Sarah to seek alternative ways of living that prioritize balance over continuous striving towards perfection or success. As she found herself in new spaces outside gyms, walking through parks, enjoying quiet meals with friends, it became evident that true rejuvenation comes from embracing moments devoid of pressure and expectation. Sarah's journey was far from linear. There were setbacks and times when the pull back into old patterns felt irresistible. But each panic attack brought her closer to understanding that lasting change requires patience and persistence in breaking free from societal norms, dictating constant activity without room for restorative downtime. Ultimately, this experience taught Sarah invaluable lessons about personal growth beyond mere self-improvement exercises. It showed her that true health lies not just in physical fitness, but also mental clarity and emotional resilience gained through periods of detachment from relentless striving. As she continued on her path toward redefining success in terms of sustainable well-being rather than ceaseless productivity, Sarah felt an underlying sense of peace replacing the constant churn of anxiety. This transformation was a testament to the power of self-reflection and embracing alternative lifestyles that prioritize balance and rest over perpetual busyness. Thus, for anyone navigating similar struggles amid today's fast-paced world where exhaustion is a common symptom of societal demands, Sarah's story serves as a poignant reminder that there are paths towards recovery and renewal. Embracing moments of detachment from constant striving can lead to rediscovering joy in daily life. Amidst the relentless pace of today's society, it is no surprise that fatigue has become a pervasive symptom among individuals struggling to keep up with the demands of daily life. This chapter delves into the concept of burnout and its cultural roots, drawing from philosopher Byung-Chul Han's critique of modernity as encapsulated in his work, The Burnout Society. We explore how our current environment, particularly within the context of grind-set culture, fosters a toxic atmosphere that saps energy and hinders personal well-being. To understand this phenomenon fully, we must first look at the historical backdrop against which these ideas emerge. Byung-Chul Han, born in 1958, is a prominent South Korean philosopher whose work offers profound insights into the contemporary condition of modern societies. His analysis focuses on the paradoxical nature of our time, where abundance and excess coexist alongside scarcity and depletion. In The Burnout Society, Han critiques the way we conceptualize value and success in today's hyper-competitive world, highlighting how these notions often lead to exhaustion rather than fulfillment. One central theme Han discusses is the shift from a culture of recognition to one of performance. Traditionally, societies valued individuals based on their contributions and achievements, acknowledging them through public acclaim or rewards such as medals or certificates. However, in today's society, the emphasis has shifted towards constant production and output. People are expected not just to perform well, but also to outperform others continuously. This pressure creates a sense of perpetual competition where there is no respite from striving. This transformation into a performance-based culture introduces new forms of stress and anxiety that were less prevalent in earlier eras. While the old paradigm rewarded excellence, it allowed for periods of rest and celebration. In contrast, the modern emphasis on constant productivity leaves little room for downtime or personal rejuvenation. This shift is evident not only in professional settings but also in social media platforms, where people showcase their achievements as a form of self-validation. The pressure to maintain this facade can be overwhelming. Another critical aspect Han addresses is the role of communication in modern burnout. He argues that our current forms of interaction, especially through digital means like emails and instant messaging, have altered the nature of human connection. Rather than fostering meaningful exchanges, these tools facilitate a constant stream of information that demands immediate attention. This leads to what Han calls soft violence, where individuals feel compelled to respond instantly, yet are left feeling isolated and disconnected from genuine support networks. Furthermore, Han critiques the concept of freedom as it pertains to modern work environments. The idea of having choice and autonomy is often presented positively in capitalist societies. However, this notion can be misleading when applied to relentless work schedules or entrepreneurial ventures where individuals feel pressured to conform to societal expectations rather than pursuing personal passions. This pressure to constantly innovate and excel undermines the true essence of freedom by reducing it to a mere illusion. The grind-set culture, which celebrates constant effort and hard work as the ultimate virtues, is emblematic of this issue. Adherents embrace slogans like work-life balance, but in practice, these are often lip service rather than genuine principles guiding behavior. The culture glorifies exhaustion and equates success with a relentless pursuit of goals without consideration for personal well-being or the importance of rest. This toxic environment fosters an atmosphere where individuals feel compelled to work tirelessly, even when they are physically or mentally drained. Success is measured not by accomplishments, but by the extent to which one can endure hardship. The pressure to outperform others and meet unrealistic expectations leaves little room for self-care, leading to a cycle of burnout. The implications of this culture extend beyond personal well-being. It impacts social dynamics as well. Relationships suffer when people are too exhausted or distracted to engage meaningfully with friends, family, and colleagues. Moreover, the constant need to compete can breed resentment and hostility rather than camaraderie. The societal narrative that equates success solely with productivity undermines community support systems and collective resilience. To counteract these trends, Han suggests a return to practices that prioritize balance and rest over perpetual busyness. This means cultivating habits like meditation or taking regular breaks throughout the day to recharge mentally and physically. It also involves reevaluating societal norms around success and failure, moving away from the singular focus on output towards recognizing the importance of well-being. The journey towards recovery from burnout often begins with individuals who recognize the need for change in their personal lives. Like Sarah's story earlier, many people find themselves at a crossroads where they must choose between continuing down the path of exhaustion or seeking alternatives that promote mental and physical health. Embracing moments of detachment from both work-related tasks and the constant striving mindset can lead to rediscovering joy in daily life. Sarah's experience illustrates how stepping back from relentless productivity can rejuvenate one's outlook on life. By adopting new habits such as mindfulness practices, setting boundaries around work hours, and engaging in activities that bring genuine fulfillment rather than just financial gain or social validation, individuals can reclaim their sense of purpose and joy. This shift is not about rejecting ambition, but about finding a sustainable balance between striving for success and ensuring one's well-being. In conclusion, the toxic environment fostered by grind-set culture represents a significant challenge to personal and societal health in today's society. Byung-Chul Han provides a critical perspective on how modern values can lead to burnout and exhaustion rather than fulfillment. His insights highlight the need for rethinking our approach to success and well-being, moving away from a performance-centric model towards one that embraces balance and rest as essential components of healthy living. For anyone navigating similar struggles amid today's fast-paced world where exhaustion is a common symptom of societal demands, Sarah's story serves as a poignant reminder that there are paths towards recovery and renewal. Embracing moments of detachment from constant striving can lead to rediscovering joy in daily life. The world today is marked by an unrelenting quest for positivity, success, and productivity. This relentless pursuit often leaves many feeling drained, exhausted, and disillusioned with their lives. The concept of the violence of positivities, as explored in Byung-Chul Han's work, sheds light on the paradoxical nature of a society that praises positivity while simultaneously fostering an environment where individuals are constantly pushed to the brink of burnout. Byung-Chul Han, a contemporary German philosopher and cultural critic, delves deep into the modern phenomenon of constant striving for success. In his book, The Burnout Society, he argues that our current societal structure is inherently flawed because it values performance over all else. This shift towards valuing productivity has led to a culture where rest, relaxation, and downtime are seen as luxuries or even signs of weakness. In this context, the relentless pursuit of positivity can be understood as an attempt to maintain a facade of constant success and happiness. However, when we force ourselves to remain perpetually positive and productive, we ignore our inherent need for recovery and rest. This misalignment between societal expectations and human biology leads to a state of perpetual exhaustion, commonly referred to as burnout. Han's concept of the violence of positivity is particularly relevant in today's digital age, where social media platforms amplify the pressure to present an idealized version of ourselves. We are constantly bombarded with images of perfect lives, successful careers, and unattainable lifestyles. This constant comparison creates a sense of inadequacy and fuels the belief that we must always strive harder to reach these unrealistic standards. Moreover, the culture of positivity often masks underlying issues such as stress, anxiety, and depression. By pushing ourselves to maintain an outward appearance of success, we neglect our inner struggles and fail to address the root causes of our fatigue and burnout. This can lead to a vicious cycle where individuals feel increasingly isolated and unsupported as they struggle silently with their mental health. To truly understand the impact of this cultural phenomenon, it is essential to consider its historical context. The shift towards valuing performance over all else began during the Industrial Revolution, when productivity was directly linked to economic success. As society evolved into an information age, the focus on efficiency and output intensified. However, what has been lost in this transition is the importance of balance and rest. The concept of rest has taken on a negative connotation in modern society. It is often viewed as laziness or procrastination rather than a necessary component of productivity. This misperception can lead individuals to feel guilty when they take time for themselves, further exacerbating feelings of burnout and exhaustion. Byung-Chul Han argues that this attitude towards rest is fundamentally flawed and contributes significantly to the current mental health crisis. One key aspect of Han's argument is the distinction between being and doing. In a society that values action and productivity, there is little room for simply being or existing without purpose. This neglects the importance of moments of reflection, contemplation, and relaxation, which are essential for maintaining mental health and well-being. The constant pressure to be productive can lead individuals to lose touch with their authentic selves and true sources of joy. The implications of this cultural shift are far-reaching. Not only do they affect individual well-being, but also have broader societal consequences. For instance, the relentless pursuit of positivity and success can contribute to a culture of competition rather than collaboration. This can lead to increased stress levels, reduced empathy, and a lack of community support. In order to address these issues, it is crucial to shift our perspective on what constitutes success and well-being. Instead of focusing solely on productivity and output, we must embrace balance as an essential component of healthy living. This involves recognizing the importance of rest, relaxation, and downtime in maintaining mental health and preventing burnout. Sarah's story serves as a poignant reminder that there are paths towards recovery and renewal even amid today's fast-paced world where exhaustion is a common symptom of societal demands. Her journey illustrates how embracing moments of detachment from constant striving can lead to rediscovering joy in daily life. By allowing herself the space to rest, reflect, and reconnect with her true self, Sarah was able to find renewed energy and purpose. In conclusion, Byung-Chul Han's exploration of the violence of positivities provides a critical lens through which we can examine our current societal structures and their impact on individual well-being. As we navigate the complexities of modern life, it is essential to prioritize balance, rest, and self-care in order to prevent burnout and promote mental health. Moving forward, embracing this new approach to success and well-being involves a significant cultural shift away from performance-centric models towards one that values balance and rest as essential components of healthy living. This paradigm shift requires not only individual effort, but also systemic changes in how we define success and support each other's mental health. As we delve deeper into the concept of burnout and its pervasive impact on modern life, it becomes increasingly clear that the very structure of society contributes to this state of exhaustion. The notion that failing means blame is deeply ingrained in our culture, often leading individuals to feel isolated and unsupported when they fall short of their goals or expectations. Byung-Chul Han, a prominent Korean philosopher, offers critical insights into why we are always tired in his seminal work, The Burnout Society. He argues that the relentless pursuit of productivity and success has stripped away any sense of leisure or downtime. In this environment, failure is not seen as an opportunity for growth, but rather as a personal failing, which can lead to profound feelings of guilt and inadequacy. Han points out that in today's world, we are bombarded with messages telling us to work harder, longer, and more efficiently. This constant pressure creates a culture where rest is viewed as unproductive, and any attempt to slow down or step back is met with suspicion or criticism. The result is an environment where individuals feel they must constantly push themselves to the brink of exhaustion in order to succeed. Moreover, Han's work highlights that this relentless pursuit of success often comes at the expense of personal well-being. When rest and leisure are not valued as essential components of a healthy life, it becomes nearly impossible for individuals to recharge and recover from daily stresses. This lack of balance can lead to chronic fatigue, mental health issues, and ultimately, burnout. In such an environment, there is no system in place that encourages or supports individuals when they fail or experience setbacks. The prevailing attitude is one of competition and individualism, where the focus is on personal achievement rather than collective well-being. This absence of a supportive framework exacerbates feelings of isolation and vulnerability for those who find themselves struggling. The lack of a systemic approach to failure means that people often internalize their difficulties as personal shortcomings or moral failings. Instead of being able to learn from mistakes and move forward, individuals are left questioning their worth and capabilities. This can lead to a vicious cycle where the fear of failure becomes so overwhelming that it prevents any kind of meaningful progress. To illustrate this point further, consider the phenomenon of presenteeism, where employees attend work even when they're unwell or exhausted in an attempt to maintain productivity levels. In such a context, taking time off for rest and recovery is often seen as a sign of weakness rather than a necessary part of maintaining mental health. Furthermore, Han's analysis extends beyond the workplace into broader societal structures. He argues that our educational systems, economic models, and cultural norms all contribute to this exhausting pursuit of success without regard for personal well-being. The idea that failure is unacceptable creates an environment where people are afraid to experiment or take risks, stifling creativity and innovation. One significant implication of Han's work is the recognition that addressing burnout requires more than individual efforts alone. While it's crucial for individuals to prioritize self-care and balance in their lives, systemic changes are needed to create a society that values rest and recovery as essential components of success and well-being. To begin with, there needs to be a cultural shift away from the glorification of constant productivity towards recognizing the importance of downtime and leisure. This means redefining what it means to be successful and acknowledging that taking breaks is not a sign of weakness, but rather an indicator of mental health awareness. Additionally, creating supportive systems that allow for open discussion about failure and setbacks could provide individuals with the necessary framework to learn from their experiences without fear of judgment or blame. This includes fostering environments where people can share their challenges and find solutions together, rather than being left to navigate difficulties in isolation. In educational settings, there is a pressing need to move away from rigid competitive models that prioritize grades and achievement over personal growth and well-being. Schools should focus on teaching skills like resilience, self-compassion, and emotional intelligence alongside traditional academic subjects. From an economic perspective, recognizing the value of rest and balance means encouraging policies that promote work-life integration rather than strict divisions between professional and personal life. This could include flexible working hours, better maternity-paternity leave benefits, and incentives for companies to prioritize employee well-being over constant productivity. Culturally, there needs to be a shift away from the pervasive belief that success is solely defined by external achievements and towards a more holistic understanding of what it means to thrive. This includes recognizing that mental health and personal fulfillment are just as important indicators of success as financial or professional accomplishments. Ultimately, Han's perspective underscores the importance of creating a society where individuals feel supported when they face challenges rather than blamed for their struggles. By fostering an environment that values rest, recovery, and mutual support, we can begin to address the root causes of burnout and promote healthier, more balanced lifestyles for everyone. In conclusion, the message is clear. To truly thrive in today's world, it's essential to prioritize balance, rest, and self-care. This paradigm shift requires not only individual effort, but also systemic changes that redefine success and support mental health on a broader scale. Only by embracing this new approach can we hope to alleviate the pervasive fatigue and burnout that has become so common in modern life. Amidst the hustle and bustle of modern society, there's an eerie silence that often goes unnoticed, the quiet, persistent weariness that gnaws at individuals day by day. In a world where efficiency is paramount and productivity rules supreme, it's easy to overlook one crucial aspect: mental health. Byung-Chul Han, a contemporary philosopher from South Korea, delves deeply into the concept of burnout in his influential book, The Burnout Society. Herein lies an exploration of why you might always feel tired and how this phenomenon is linked not only to personal habits but also broader societal dynamics. Han's analysis begins with a critical examination of our current society's obsession with productivity. In the age of information technology, constant connectivity means that work no longer confines itself to traditional 9 to 5 hours. It seeps into every corner of life. The digital realm blurs the lines between personal and professional spaces, leaving little room for rest and recovery. This relentless pace is a breeding ground for burnout, a state characterized by emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced feelings of accomplishment. To understand why we feel perpetually drained, it's essential to consider the psychological virus that thrives in today's society. Han describes this virus as a collective mindset that idolizes productivity at the expense of personal well-being. The pressure to be constantly available, responsive, and active creates an environment where rest is seen as failure. This cultural norm fosters a vicious cycle. Individuals push themselves harder and harder, only to experience diminishing returns in terms of satisfaction and fulfillment. The concept of psychological viruses brings into focus the invisible yet pervasive influence that societal expectations exert over personal lives. Just like a physical virus spreads through contact with an infected individual, this psychological strain is transmitted from one person to another via social interactions, media consumption, and professional environments. The pressure to conform to norms of continuous effort creates an atmosphere where rest becomes stigmatized and self-care dismissed as indulgence. As individuals internalize these societal pressures, a form of mental fatigue sets in. This isn't just about the physical toll of overwork. It's also deeply rooted in emotional and psychological stressors. For instance, the fear of falling behind, feeling inadequate compared to others, or experiencing guilt for not meeting perceived expectations all contribute significantly to this state of chronic tiredness. Moreover, Han introduces the notion of emotional exhaustion, a critical component of burnout that arises from prolonged exposure to stressful environments without adequate coping mechanisms. Unlike physical fatigue, emotional exhaustion is insidious and harder to identify. It often manifests as cynicism towards one's work or life in general, leading individuals to withdraw emotionally and mentally from their responsibilities. The psychological toll doesn't end with emotional exhaustion. It cascades into feelings of isolation and depression. Depression in the context of burnout isn't merely a clinical condition, but an outcome of prolonged mental strain under unyielding societal demands. The constant pressure to perform, coupled with limited opportunities for restorative activities like leisure or personal growth, leaves individuals feeling overwhelmed and disconnected from their true selves. The implications of this psychological virus are far-reaching and profoundly affective. Burnout doesn't just impact individual well-being, it also has significant consequences for productivity, creativity, and interpersonal relationships. In a society that values output over everything else, the decline in mental health leads to decreased engagement at work, reduced innovation, and strained personal connections. To combat this pervasive issue, Han advocates for a paradigm shift towards embracing balance and rest as integral parts of life. This involves not only changing individual behaviors but also rethinking how society defines success and measures productivity. Organizations need to adopt more holistic approaches that prioritize employee well-being over short-term gains, while individuals must learn to set boundaries and engage in self-care practices. One crucial aspect of this transformation is recognizing the importance of leisure. In a world dominated by work-centric values, leisure activities often get pushed aside as mere distractions from productive pursuits. However, research shows that engaging in hobbies or recreational activities can significantly improve mental health and overall well-being. By integrating these elements into daily routines, individuals can better manage stress levels and maintain a healthier balance between work and personal life. Another key element is fostering a culture of self-reflection and mindfulness. Encouraging people to take time for introspection helps them identify their own limits and recognize the signs of burnout early on. Practices like meditation, journaling, or even simply taking regular breaks can provide much-needed respite from constant stimulation and mental strain. In essence, overcoming the psychological virus that leads to burnout requires a multifaceted approach, individual efforts combined with systemic changes. By challenging societal norms that equate success solely with productivity and embracing a more balanced perspective on life, it is possible to alleviate the pervasive fatigue plaguing modern society. As we move forward, it's crucial to remember that true thriving comes not from relentless effort, but from nurturing our minds and spirits. In today's world, prioritizing balance, rest, and self-care isn't just beneficial for individuals. It has wider implications for societal health and productivity. By shifting our focus towards sustainable living and well-being, we can create a more resilient and fulfilling future for everyone. The world today moves at an unprecedented pace, overwhelming us with constant demands for productivity and performance. In this relentless race, we often find ourselves perpetually exhausted, questioning the very essence of our efforts. This chapter explores the concept of loss of contemplation in modern leisure and delves into why you are always tired according to philosopher Byung-Chul Han's theories. The modern society is plagued by a burnout epidemic, which can be understood through Han's critique of contemporary lifestyles and their detrimental effects on our mental health. Byung-Chul Han's work emphasizes the paradox that in an age where we have more leisure time than ever before, people feel less rested and more stressed. He attributes this phenomenon to the transformation of traditional rest into a form of work, one that requires constant vigilance and self-motivation rather than genuine relaxation. The idea of rest, as it was understood historically, has been replaced by what Han refers to as negative freedom. In negative freedom, there is an absence of external coercion or constraint. However, this does not necessarily equate to positive freedom, which involves the ability to act according to one's desires and interests without inner compulsion. In today's society, leisure has been hijacked by the logic of productivity and performance. Social media platforms like Instagram and Twitter encourage us to fill every moment with content creation or consumption, turning what should be a period of rest into yet another arena for competition and self-promotion. This constant state of activity negates the possibility of true contemplation and rejuvenation. Han's critique extends beyond social media to encompass broader cultural shifts. The shift from an industrial society to one dominated by information technology has changed our relationship with time. In traditional industrial societies, work involved physical labor, which demanded clear distinctions between working hours and rest periods. However, in the digital age, these boundaries have blurred, leading to a perpetual state of being on call. Moreover, Han points out that contemporary leisure activities often resemble tasks requiring constant mental engagement, like surfing the internet or watching streaming services, without providing opportunities for genuine relaxation. These activities are mentally stimulating but do not offer the kind of rest that recharges our minds and spirits. Another aspect of this loss is the emphasis on self-optimization in today's society. The idea that we must always be improving ourselves, whether it's learning a new skill, exercising more efficiently, or maintaining an ideal diet, can become overwhelming. This relentless pursuit of perfection often leads to burnout and exhaustion as individuals struggle to meet these unrealistic expectations. Han argues that this perpetual striving for self-improvement is a form of inner compulsion akin to work. The constant pressure to achieve and excel in every aspect of life leaves no room for moments of genuine rest and contemplation, leading to the paradoxical situation where we are exhausted despite having more leisure time than ever before. Furthermore, Han's analysis includes an examination of how cultural narratives around success and happiness contribute to this phenomenon. The pervasive belief that achieving certain milestones, like owning a home or reaching a specific career level, is the key to happiness, fuels a relentless pursuit of these goals at the expense of personal well-being. The concept of Positive freedom in Han's philosophy is crucial for understanding how to alleviate the burnout society. Positive freedom involves cultivating the ability to act according to one's desires and interests without inner compulsion or external pressures. This form of freedom allows individuals to engage in leisure activities that truly nourish their minds and spirits, rather than simply filling time. To move towards a healthier relationship with rest, Han suggests we need to redefine what it means to be productive. True productivity should not merely be measured by output, but also by the quality of life and well-being. Engaging in activities that bring joy and fulfillment without external pressures can lead to greater resilience and contentment. This shift towards a more holistic view of productivity requires society to value rest and leisure as essential components of human flourishing. By creating spaces where individuals are free from constant demands and expectations, we can foster environments that encourage true contemplation and rejuvenation. Ultimately, Han's critique of the modern loss of contemplation and leisure invites us to reconsider our relationship with time and work. It challenges us to create a society that values rest, not as an absence of activity, but as an active engagement with our own well-being. By embracing this perspective, we can move towards a more sustainable and fulfilling way of living. In conclusion, the loss of contemplation in modern leisure is a symptom of a deeper cultural shift that prioritizes productivity over well-being. As society continues to evolve, it's crucial to recognize the importance of rest and find ways to integrate genuine downtime into our daily lives. By doing so, we can create a healthier future for ourselves and the generations to come. The concept of hyperactivity and multitasking has become deeply entrenched in our modern lifestyle, often at the expense of genuine human contemplation. As philosopher Byung-Chul Han argues in his work, Byung-Chul Han and the Burnout Societies, the relentless drive towards productivity and efficiency can lead to a state of constant fatigue and burnout, fundamentally undermining individual well-being. In today's society, technology has made it possible for us to be constantly connected and productive. We live in an age where the smartphone is never far from our grasp. Emails flood our inboxes non-stop, and social media platforms demand our attention 24/7. This constant connectivity and the expectation of instant responses have created a culture where rest and contemplation are seen as luxuries rather than necessities. Byung-Chul Han points out that this hyperactive state is not just about being busy, but about constantly switching between tasks without truly engaging in any one activity deeply. The phenomenon of multitasking has become so ingrained in our daily lives that it's often viewed as a virtue, something that distinguishes the successful individual from the rest. However, Han argues that while we may appear to be achieving more by doing multiple things at once, this superficial productivity is actually diminishing our capacity for deep thinking and meaningful work. The impact of hyperactivity on mental health cannot be overstated. As we continue to push ourselves towards higher levels of efficiency and output, we risk burning out mentally and physically. This exhaustion isn't just about feeling tired after a long day at work. It's a deeper kind of fatigue that stems from the constant pressure to perform and the lack of downtime to recharge. Contemplation, on the other hand, is an essential but often neglected aspect of human life. Contemplative practices such as meditation, introspection, or simply taking time for oneself are critical in helping us navigate the complexities of modern living. Byung-Chul Han emphasizes that contemplation allows us to reconnect with our inner selves, providing a much-needed counterbalance to the external pressures we face. However, the cultural shift towards prioritizing productivity over well-being means that there is little room for genuine rest and reflection in our daily lives. The expectation to be constantly available and productive has led many people to sacrifice their mental health and personal growth for the sake of meeting societal demands. This relentless pursuit of efficiency often results in a loss of meaning and purpose as individuals become disconnected from their true desires and aspirations. One way this cultural shift manifests is through the concept of leisure. Traditionally, leisure was seen as an opportunity to engage in activities that were personally fulfilling but not necessarily productive. Today's notion of leisure, however, has been co-opted by the culture of productivity. We see it in how people often use their free time to engage in activities like fitness boot camps or online courses aimed at personal development. While these pursuits may have some value, they also perpetuate the idea that every moment should be utilized towards a tangible outcome. Another critical aspect is the role of technology in shaping our habits and expectations. Social media platforms, for instance, constantly encourage us to share snippets of our lives, presenting them as evidence of productivity or success. This creates an environment where leisure time becomes another opportunity to perform rather than rest. The constant pressure to present a perfect image on social media can lead individuals to feel inadequate if they are not continuously active and productive. Byung-Chul Han argues that this shift towards hyperactivity is rooted in the loss of meaningful work. In earlier times, people engaged in tasks that had clear purpose and meaning, whether it was farming or crafting goods by hand. Today's society often lacks these tangible connections to our labor, leading to a sense of disconnection from our work and ourselves. The consequences of this shift are profound. By constantly pushing the boundaries of what we can achieve without adequate rest, individuals risk not only physical exhaustion but also mental breakdowns. Burnout has become an epidemic in many sectors, with symptoms ranging from chronic stress and insomnia to depression and anxiety. The relentless pace of modern life is taking a toll on our collective well-being. To combat this trend, Han suggests that we need to reevaluate the way we perceive rest and productivity. Instead of seeing downtime as wasted time, we should recognize it for what it truly is, an essential component of mental health and personal growth. This means allowing ourselves the freedom to engage in activities that do not contribute directly to our professional or social status, but are vital for our emotional and psychological well-being. In practical terms, this might mean setting aside specific times during the day when we disconnect from technology and allow ourselves to simply be. It could involve engaging in hobbies that have no monetary value but provide personal fulfillment. Or it may simply entail the courage to say no to additional tasks or social engagements when our bodies and minds are signaling that they need rest. Ultimately, Byung-Chul Han's critique of hyperactivity and the call for a return to contemplation offer a powerful reminder of the importance of balance in our lives. In an era where productivity is often seen as synonymous with success, it is crucial to recognize the value of moments when we are not actively doing anything at all. As society continues to evolve, there is an urgent need to reassess our priorities and find ways to integrate genuine rest into our daily routines. By embracing a perspective that values both productivity and well-being equally, we can move towards a more sustainable and fulfilling way of living. This shift requires not only individual effort but also societal changes that support a culture where contemplation is respected and valued as much as action. The loss of contemplation in modern leisure is a symptom of a broader cultural shift that prioritizes productivity over well-being. As we continue to grapple with the challenges of an increasingly complex world, it becomes imperative to acknowledge the importance of rest and find ways to cultivate a healthier relationship between ourselves and our environment. By doing so, we can create a future where both individual fulfillment and collective progress are possible. The modern world is often characterized by relentless activity, where every moment seems to be filled with some form of work or leisure. However, this constant engagement comes at a significant cost. the loss of contemplation and rest in our daily lives. This trend has been eloquently critiqued by philosopher Byung-Chul Han, who argues that we are trapped within a culture where productivity is not only valued, but is seen as an ethical imperative. The consequences of this hyperactive lifestyle manifest not just as physical exhaustion, but also as deep-seated mental fatigue and burnout. In his seminal work, The Burnout Society, Byung-Chul Han delves into the paradoxical nature of our current societal setup, where despite having access to more leisure time than ever before, individuals feel increasingly tired and unfulfilled. This contradiction stems from a fundamental shift in how we perceive rest and relaxation. Traditionally, leisure was considered a break from work, a period dedicated to recuperation and self-renewal. Today, however, even our downtime is often subsumed by the logic of productivity. We are expected to find meaningful activities or engage in hobbies that contribute positively to society. This transformation has profound implications for how we experience leisure time. When every moment must serve a purpose, relaxation becomes a guilty pleasure and contemplation an indulgence. The pressure to constantly achieve and improve oneself leads to a perpetual state of stress and anxiety, where even periods meant for rest are co-opted by the demands of productivity. Han's observations highlight the psychological toll this has on individuals who find themselves trapped in a cycle of endless activity without the respite needed to recharge. To understand why we feel perpetually tired despite having more leisure time than ever before, it is essential to trace the historical roots of this phenomenon. The Industrial Revolution marked a significant turning point, ushering in an era where work became mechanized and structured around efficiency. This shift was accompanied by the rise of capitalism, which further reinforced the notion that productivity equates to moral worthiness. As we moved from agrarian societies into industrial ones, our relationship with time changed dramatically. The concept of leisure evolved from a necessity for survival to an optional luxury. The development of technology has exacerbated this trend in recent decades. The digital age has made it possible to work around the clock, blurring the lines between home and office life. Emails can be checked at any hour, meetings can take place remotely, and social media provides a constant stream of information and distractions. This ubiquitous connectivity means that we are always on, perpetuating the cycle of endless activity without real intervals for rest. Furthermore, societal expectations have shifted alongside these technological changes. There is now an overwhelming emphasis on self-improvement and personal development. Self-help books and wellness programs abound, each promising a path to greater happiness through constant effort and growth. This cultural milieu fosters a mindset where downtime is viewed as wasted opportunity rather than necessary rejuvenation. The result is that even during leisure activities, individuals feel compelled to engage in some form of self-betterment, leading to a sense of perpetual inadequacy. Byung-Chul Han's critique extends beyond mere observations about societal trends. He also offers insights into the psychological mechanisms behind this phenomenon. He argues that our current environment encourages a type of burnout characterized not just by physical exhaustion, but by mental fatigue and existential weariness. This burnout is different from what we traditionally think of as work-related stress, which often involves overt signs like irritability or insomnia. Instead, it manifests subtly through feelings of disconnection, ennui, and an underlying sense that no matter how hard one works, there is always more to do. One critical aspect of this burnout is the loss of meaningful leisure activities. Traditional forms of rest, such as reading, walking in nature, or engaging in simple crafts, have been replaced by high-energy pursuits like extreme sports or intense workout regimens. While these activities certainly serve a purpose and can be enjoyable for many, they also reflect a broader cultural shift towards activity-driven relaxation rather than passive recuperation. Moreover, The pervasive influence of social media plays a significant role in perpetuating this cycle of constant engagement. Platforms like Instagram and Twitter present curated versions of life that highlight only the most exciting or productive moments. This creates an illusion of success and fulfillment among peers, leading individuals to constantly compare their lives against these idealized snapshots. The pressure to maintain such appearances can be immense, pushing people towards ever more ambitious goals and leaving little room for genuine rest. Another factor contributing to this sense of perpetual tiredness is the erosion of public spaces that once provided communal areas for leisure activities. Parks, libraries, and community centers used to offer quiet corners where one could simply sit and think without feeling guilty about not being productive. With the decline of these shared spaces and the rise of privatized forms of leisure, such as fitness clubs or expensive hobbies, opportunities for truly restful activities have diminished. In his analysis, Han points out that this cultural shift towards constant productivity is deeply rooted in philosophical traditions, particularly those emphasizing action over contemplation. Theories like Stoicism and existentialism valorize effort and engagement with life's challenges, often at the expense of quiet reflection or inner peace. While these philosophies have much to offer, their emphasis on action can lead to a neglect of the importance of rest and introspection. The implications of this cultural transformation are far-reaching. On an individual level, it results in chronic fatigue, reduced creativity, and diminished overall well-being. Communities suffer as well, with fewer opportunities for genuine social connections and shared experiences that do not revolve around productivity or consumption. Furthermore, the economy is affected as burnout leads to higher healthcare costs, decreased productivity in the long run, and a workforce that is less engaged and satisfied. To address these issues, Han suggests several approaches. One key strategy involves redefining our concept of leisure and rest to include passive activities that do not necessarily involve goal-directed effort. This might mean spending time daydreaming, engaging in simple crafts like knitting or gardening, or simply sitting quietly without any specific purpose. By incorporating more of these low-intensity activities into daily life, individuals can begin to counteract the pervasive culture of productivity. Another solution lies in creating spaces and environments that promote restful leisure. For instance, cities could invest in public parks with designated quiet zones where people are encouraged to relax without feeling pressured to engage in any form of activity. Educational institutions might also incorporate lessons on the importance of rest and contemplation, providing students with tools for managing their time effectively while still prioritizing mental health. Ultimately, Byung-Chul Han's work invites us to reconsider our relationship with leisure and productivity. It challenges us to move beyond a narrow focus on constant activity towards a more balanced approach that values both action and rest equally. This shift is not merely about personal well-being, it has broader implications for societal health and progress. By fostering environments where individuals can recharge and reflect, we create the conditions necessary for sustained creativity, innovation, and meaningful human connections. In summary, the modern world's relentless push towards productivity has led to a loss of restful leisure activities and an increase in mental fatigue and burnout. To combat these issues, it is crucial to redefine our concept of leisure and prioritize more passive forms of recreation that allow for genuine relaxation and contemplation. The modern world, with its relentless drive towards productivity and efficiency, has created an environment where restful leisure activities have become scarce. This shift away from passive forms of recreation that allow for genuine relaxation and contemplation is a significant factor in the rise of mental fatigue and burnout among individuals today. To truly understand this phenomenon, we must delve into the work of Byung-Chul Han, a philosopher whose insights provide profound context to our contemporary challenges. Byung-Chul Han's critique of modernity emphasizes the transformation of leisure into something that is more about consumption than genuine rest. In his book, The Burnout Society, he argues that the commodification of leisure activities has turned what should be a time for reflection and recharging into another form of work. This shift is emblematic of broader changes in society where every moment seems to demand productivity, leaving little room for true relaxation. To illustrate this point, imagine a typical day in today's world. The morning starts with checking emails on your phone before even getting out of bed. Work continues through lunch breaks and late into the evening, often spilling over onto weekends and holidays. In such an environment, leisure activities are often seen as opportunities to pursue personal development or maintain one's social status rather than times for restful contemplation. Han's concept of tiredness is particularly illuminating here. It refers to a state where individuals feel constantly exhausted by the constant pressure to be productive and connected. This contrasts sharply with earlier notions of tiredness, which were more physical in nature and could be alleviated through restful activities like napping or taking long walks. In today's society, even when we are not actively engaged in work-related tasks, our minds remain hyper-vigilant due to the constant presence of technology and social media. The root cause of this tiredness lies in the cultural shift towards an information-based economy where knowledge is power and continuous learning is seen as essential for success. This has led to a pervasive sense of anxiety about being left behind, constantly feeling like one needs to catch up or learn more. The result is a state of perpetual readiness, which saps mental energy without providing any genuine downtime. In contrast, healing tiredness speaks to the importance of collective leisure activities that foster community and provide a sense of belonging. This type of leisure involves engaging in communal practices such as storytelling, singing, or participating in religious rituals, all of which were once common ways for people to unwind and connect with one another. Historically, communities would come together for shared experiences that went beyond mere consumption and provided emotional and spiritual sustenance. These activities allowed individuals to step away from their individual concerns and connect on a deeper level with others, thereby fostering social bonds and reducing feelings of isolation. In today's highly individualistic society, however, such communal practices are rare and often replaced by solitary leisure pursuits like binge-watching TV shows or scrolling through social media feeds. The implications of this shift towards tiredness are profound. Studies have shown that prolonged exposure to high levels of mental stress can lead to physical health problems as well as psychological distress, including burnout syndrome and depression. Furthermore, the lack of meaningful communal activities can exacerbate feelings of loneliness and disconnection from others. To combat these issues, it is crucial for individuals and communities to re-examine their notions of leisure and prioritize forms of recreation that allow for genuine relaxation and contemplation. This means carving out time for passive activities like reading a book without the expectation of learning something new or taking long walks in nature with no goal other than enjoying the scenery. Moreover, creating environments where individuals can recharge and reflect is essential. These spaces should be designed to encourage social interaction and foster a sense of community rather than simply providing amenities for individual consumption. For example, public parks could offer communal areas for storytelling sessions or music performances that bring people together in meaningful ways. Ultimately, the challenge lies in finding a balance between productivity and restfulness. By embracing leisure activities that nourish both body and spirit, individuals can combat tiredness and foster a sense of collective well-being through shared experiences. This approach not only promotes personal health but also strengthens social bonds within communities. In conclusion, the modern world's relentless push towards productivity has led to a loss of restful leisure activities and an increase in mental fatigue and burnout among individuals. To address these issues, it is essential to redefine our concept of leisure and prioritize passive forms of recreation that allow for genuine relaxation and contemplation. By doing so, we can not only reduce the prevalence of eye-tiredness, but also cultivate a healthier and more connected society. The relentless pace of modern life has transformed the way we perceive and engage with leisure, transforming once restful activities into sources of mental strain. In his critique of contemporary society, philosopher Byung-Chul Han emphasizes the paradoxical nature of our efforts to combat fatigue by engaging in ever more productive endeavors, only to find ourselves increasingly exhausted. At the heart of this issue is the concept of eye-tiredness, a condition where individuals feel perpetually drained, not just physically but mentally and emotionally as well. Han argues that the root cause of eye-tiredness lies in our societal emphasis on constant activity and output, which has led to a severe devaluation of passive leisure activities. In earlier times, the concept of leisure was closely tied to restful engagement with nature, art, or literature, activities that were seen as essential for mental rejuvenation and personal growth. However, in today's fast-paced world, such forms of leisure have been marginalized in favor of more productive pursuits like social media scrolling or online gaming. This shift has profound implications for our well-being. As we spend more time engaging with screens, the restorative effects of traditional leisure activities diminish. Social media platforms are engineered to keep us constantly connected and engaged, even at the expense of genuine relaxation. The constant stream of notifications and updates creates a sense of perpetual urgency, making it difficult to truly unwind or disconnect from the demands of daily life. Han's analysis extends beyond digital technologies to encompass broader cultural shifts that have redefined what we consider productive work. In many ways, the modern workplace mirrors the endless scroll of social media feeds. Constant connectivity and availability are seen as virtues, leading to a blurring of boundaries between professional and personal time. This has resulted in a form of burnout that is not just physical but psychological. Individuals feel drained, not because they lack energy, but because they lack mental rest. One of Han's key insights is the importance of stopping and lingering. He argues that resistance to eye-tiredness can be found in the act of simply pausing, allowing oneself moments of stillness amidst the chaos of modern life. This does not mean merely taking a break from work. It means engaging actively with practices that foster mental peace and detachment from productivity-driven pressures. Stopping involves consciously choosing activities that are inherently passive and restful. Reading a book without checking emails, walking in nature without listening to podcasts or music, or simply sitting quietly and observing one's surroundings. This might seem counterintuitive in a world where every moment is expected to contribute towards personal development or productivity, but Han contends that such moments of non-productive activity are crucial for mental health. Lingering builds on the idea of stopping by, suggesting a deeper engagement with these passive activities. It involves immersing oneself fully in experiences without any expectations or goals attached, allowing time to unfold naturally rather than forcing it into predefined tasks or deadlines. This can mean spending hours in contemplation, exploring an artistic project purely for pleasure, or engaging deeply with literature or philosophy. The benefits of stopping and lingering are manifold. Firstly, these activities provide a form of mental detox from the constant stimulation of digital devices and social obligations. By disconnecting intentionally, individuals can reduce stress levels and improve their overall sense of well-being. Secondly, they offer opportunities for reflection and introspection, which are vital for personal growth and self-understanding. In an era where quick solutions and instant gratification dominate our cultural landscape, the act of lingering allows us to reconnect with slower, more thoughtful ways of experiencing life. Moreover, Han's philosophy suggests that redefining leisure as a form of resistance against tiredness can lead to significant societal changes. When individuals prioritize passive activities that nourish their minds and spirits, they contribute to a broader cultural shift towards valuing rest and contemplation over constant activity and output. This not only benefits the individual, but also has wider implications for community well-being. One of the challenges in adopting Han's approach is overcoming deeply ingrained cultural expectations around productivity and efficiency. In societies where success is often measured by relentless busyness, the idea of stopping and lingering can seem indulgent or even irresponsible. However, as more people recognize the detrimental effects of tiredness on mental health and personal relationships, there is growing interest in alternative modes of living that prioritize well-being over constant output. To implement Han's philosophy effectively requires a conscious effort to reframe our relationship with leisure activities. This might involve setting aside specific times each day for passive recreation without the pressure of accomplishing anything tangible during these periods. It could also mean advocating for policies in workplaces and communities that recognize the importance of mental rest and support individuals' efforts to cultivate more balanced lifestyles. In conclusion, Byung-Chul Han's critique of tiredness offers a compelling perspective on the modern malaise characterized by constant fatigue and burnout. His proposal to redefine leisure as an active form of resistance against this condition provides not only personal benefits, but also potential avenues for broader social transformation. By embracing practices that foster mental peace and detachment from productivity-driven pressures, we can begin to address the root causes of tiredness and cultivate healthier, more connected communities in which everyone has the opportunity to rest and recharge.